At 82, I've lived through countless experiences, and I've learned so much about life, but there's one decision I wish I could go back and change. I never thought I'd say this, but moving into a retirement home was the biggest regret of my life. At the time, it seemed like the right choice. My family reassured me that I'd be well cared for, and that I'd have everything I needed. They promised me comfort, companionship, and peace of mind. I trusted them, but when I got there, reality hit me hard. The life I had envisioned for myself in a retirement home was nothing like what I ended up experiencing. If you're considering this option for yourself or a loved one, there are some things you need to know. Maybe you think it's the safest choice, or you've been told it'll make life easier, but I'm here to share 6 hard lessons I wish someone had warned me about before I took that step. The truth is, life in a retirement home isn't just about convenience. It changes everything, and once you walk through those doors, getting out isn't as easy as it seems. Stay with me until the end, because these insights might surprise you. The biggest shock when I moved into the retirement home wasn't the small room or the scheduled meals. It was the realization that I had lost control over my own life. At home, I could do everything at my own pace. I woke up when I wanted, ate when I was hungry, and spent my days the way I chose. I could take a walk in the garden, read a book in my favorite chair, or just relax on my own terms. But in the retirement home, nothing was in my control. Everything ran on a strict schedule that wasn't mine. Breakfast was served at a set time, even if I wasn't hungry. Lights went out whether I was ready to sleep or not. If I wanted to go outside for a walk, I had to ask for permission and wait for someone to help me. Even something as simple as choosing what to wear started feeling like a privilege instead of a personal choice. I remember my first night there. I woke up in a bed that wasn't mine, stretched, and reached for my book, only to realize I was in a place that wasn't home. My chair, my books, the little things that made my house feel like mine, they were all gone. I didn't have any say in my surroundings anymore. The hardest part. Once you give up your independence, getting it back is almost impossible. You adapt because you have to, but in the process, you start losing a part of yourself. So, if you're thinking about moving into a retirement home, ask yourself, are you prepared to give up the little freedoms that make life feel like your own? Because once they're gone, you'll miss them in ways you can't even imagine. One of the toughest realizations after moving into the retirement home was how quickly the world outside kept moving on without me. When I first arrived, my family promised they'd visit often. They did at first, and it felt comforting. My daughter came by once a week, my grandchildren would stop by on weekends, and for a while, it seemed like everything would stay the same. But as the months went by, the visits became less frequent. My daughter started calling instead of visiting. The grandchildren got caught up with school and work, and before long, the holiday visits were no longer promised. I found myself spending many days alone, watching other residents look at the door, hoping for a visitor who never came. It wasn't that my family stopped loving me. It was just that life continued without me. When you're no longer part of someone's daily routine, it's easy for them to assume you're fine, that you don't need as much attention anymore. But the truth is, the longer you're away from the ones you love, the easier it is for them to forget how much you still need them. I remember one evening sitting in my room, holding my phone, unsure if I should call my son. I didn't want to be a burden. I didn't want to remind him I was here, waiting for a visit that might never come. So, I put the phone down and realized this was my life now. Hoping someone would remember me, hoping to feel seen. If you're considering a retirement home, ask yourself, are you ready for the loneliness? Because no matter how much your family loves you, once you're out of sight, it's all too easy to be forgotten. When I moved into the retirement home, I thought I was just changing where I lived. What I didn't realize was that I was changing the very reason I lived. At home, I had responsibilities. There were things to do, people to take care of, hobbies to enjoy. I had a reason to get up each morning, even if it was just watering the plants or making coffee. But once I moved into the retirement home, that all changed. Meals were brought to me. Cleaning was done by someone else. The plants weren't mine to care for anymore. At first, I thought it was a relief. No more chores, no more responsibilities, just time to relax. But soon I started to feel the absence of purpose. The days felt longer and emptier. I saw this happen to others too. People who once had hobbies, careers, and passions now spent their days sitting in silence. There was a man named George, an 84-year-old former carpenter. He used to spend hours fixing things and working on projects at home. But in the retirement home, there were no tools, no projects, nothing to keep his hands busy. I watched as he became more withdrawn, his hands, once so skilled, now idle in his lap. "I feel useless," he told me one day, and I understood completely. If you're considering a retirement home, ask yourself, what gives your life meaning? Because once you move in, filling your time isn't enough. You have to hold on to the things that make you feel alive. Before moving into the retirement home, I was in good health for my age. I wasn't running marathons, but I was still able to take care of myself. I went for walks, cooked my own meals, and did little exercises to keep myself active. But when I moved in, things changed quickly. At first, I thought it would be nice to have someone take care of meals and cleaning. But soon, I noticed something. The less I moved, the more difficult it became to move at all. I stopped getting up to cook, stopped going for walks, and before I knew it, I was having trouble getting out of a chair. The muscles I had worked so hard to keep strong began to weaken faster than I ever expected. And it wasn't just me. I saw others who had once been independent now relying on walkers or wheelchairs. People who had been perfectly capable of taking care of themselves now needed help with basic tasks. The more help we received, the more we seemed to need. I remember my neighbor, Alice, an 81-year-old woman who had been lively when she first arrived. She insisted on taking daily walks around the facility, but after a while she stopped walking, and when I asked her about it, she said, "I just don't have the energy anymore." If you're considering a retirement home, ask yourself, are you prepared for the physical changes that come with it? Because the more you stop doing for yourself, the faster you'll lose the strength you once had. Another thing I didn't fully appreciate before moving into the retirement home was how much privacy I'd lose. At home, I had my space. I could spend time alone when I needed to, think without interruption, and even enjoy meals in peace. But in the retirement home, my personal space was no longer my own. Shared rooms, constant noise, staff coming and going. It felt like I was always being watched, always being tended to. I lost the quiet moments that once gave me peace of mind. The idea of having control over my own space became a distant memory. If you're considering a retirement home, ask yourself, are you ready to give up the privacy and solitude that you're used to? Finally, the hardest part of all, the struggle to stay connected with others. I thought I would meet new friends, share stories, and enjoy companionship in the retirement home. But the truth was, it wasn't that simple. Many residents were so caught up in their own struggles that forming meaningful connections was a challenge. I often found myself sitting alone, staring at the walls or watching TV, trying to fill the silence with something, anything. The few conversations I had felt shallow, and even though I was surrounded by people, I often felt more isolated than I ever had before. If you're considering a retirement home, ask yourself, are you ready to give up the connections you've had outside for the possibility of new ones that may not come? It's something you'll have to grapple with, and it's not always easy. So, before you make the decision to move into a retirement home, think carefully. It's not just a change of address, it's a complete shift in how you live, how you feel, and who you are. There are things you'll miss, things you'll lose, and things you'll never get back. Make sure you're fully prepared before taking that step. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, please leave a comment below, and don't forget to subscribe for more life lessons and advice. Take care.